So, talked about this weekend. So.
It's official. I call this meeting to order at 6 PM on Thursday, January 18th, 2024. And our first item is election of chair and vice chair. I thought we just did that.
Every January.
I motion they stay the same.
I second.
Aye,
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
we're good? Just like that.
That was easy.
Public hearing for multifamily zone code text amendment. Can you pull that up since I don't have the iPad?
Yeah, I've got it up here. So, we'll go through all the details of this, but first I'll hit the reasons why we're doing this, the purpose of it. So, kind of how this started was the setbacks. We have one property in the city that's in the residential multifamily zone. It's the first one that we built on. It's the project not too far from this corner, Francis Commons. And it's the townhome portion of that project. So they recently recorded the plats in December, and they came in to bring in their building permits. We started looking at them, and I'm gonna bring up another picture here, because it helps explain it. Just kidding, I didn't pull it up yet. So let me pull it up from my file, and then we'll talk about it. And this kind of goes along with the next item too, a little bit. But anyway, looking at the plans for these townhomes, they weren't meeting the setbacks. And this is what Ivory Homes would like to build in this development. And the faces of the buildings have offsets, and so there's some differentiation in how they look in the front. You can almost see it better. Let's see. Let me pull up another page here on the floor plan. So that you can see that the faces, some are out more, some are set back more. So, in looking at the setbacks that we have in the code right now, they would not be able to build this type of product. They would be able to build townhomes, but what they would do is build a unit like right here, this one, that is set back the farthest, and they would all be the same unit. So, in talking with Ivory Homes and the mayor, we felt like the best option was to look at changing the setbacks in the multifamily zone to be the same as what it is for townhomes in conservation subdivisions. So currently, right now, it's 30 feet front, 12-foot sides, and 25-foot rear, which is the same setbacks we have in our residential half zone. And what we're looking at changing it to is 20-foot front and rear, 10-foot sides. And that is the same as the setbacks that are in our, for the townhomes in our conservation subdivisions, Hartwood Crossing, so those ones. I think that will give us, as a city, it will look a lot better in that area to have the differentiation. Architecturally, it's gonna look better. I think the setbacks still give plenty of room. I'm not too worried about, I know I've talked about before with shorter setbacks, like trucks sticking out into a driveway, things like that. I'm not really worried about that. We haven't had any problems like that so far in Hart. So that was the main reason why we started looking at this amendment. And then whenever I look at making a code change, I look at the whole entire section. And this is one that I had wanted to make some changes on for a while. So there were some things in here to me that needed to be updated and it didn't make sense. So I'll just go through purpose briefly and then we'll go through all the details of this. So I covered the first two bullets. Then we also wanted to clarify the density and the dimensional standards. Like for example, right now it doesn't say that the density is per acre. And then I also wanted to clarify how the bonus density is deed restricted, because I didn't feel like that was very clear. I want to use the same terminology and nomenclature that we use in other sections of code. So instead of saying individual units, we'll call them dwellings, and that's the same language we use in other parts of the code. Eliminate redundant codes. So there are sections where it says, okay, they have to get a building permit, they have to be able to meet the parking standards, the building fire codes. Well, that is already a requirement because it's already in our code. So we don't need to duplicate it. And then last was to incorporate code updates that haven't made since this section was codified. So adding the residential cottage zone as eligible for a zone change to residential multifamily. I think when this code was created, the cottage zone wasn't. I don't think it was around then. So anyway, let's look at the details of it. First, changing the title to be similar to what we have in the other zones. So instead of just multifamily housing, I'm gonna make it just like how we call the residential half zone, RM residential multifamily zone. And then this change is carried out later on, you'll see, but we don't have a site plan requirement for townhomes. We have a building permit review. And so there's no site plan review that we do. And so I'm just changing the name of this to what our actual process is. And then coming down into the first section, which talks about the purpose and how this zone will be used. Again, so changing residential lots to dwellings. And then before we said that only lots previously zoned agricultural 1 or residential half may be eligible. I used the acronyms that we use because that's used throughout our code, AG1, RH, and then I added the residential cottage zone is also eligible for a zone change to the residential multifamily zone. Okay, getting into this table that lists the permitted and conditional uses, there are some changes here where I'm adding that multifamily dwellings are allowed up to 10 units per acre. Before we didn't have that per acre. So, and where it says dwellings here already, I didn't think we needed to have individual dwellings. It just, to me, it's like, that makes sense that it would be 10 dwellings per acre or 12 units. And then similar change down here where we have the bonus density come in. I didn't really like that it said it just incorporated you could have 16 units per acre when incorporating moderate income into the 6-unit bonus density allowance, because I felt like, what does that mean, incorporating? Does that mean that 1 unit of the 6 bonus is gonna be moderate income housing? Just want to make it really clear that all of the units that are above the base density of 10 would go to that moderate income housing. I think that's what was intended when this code was written. I just wanted that to be more clear. If anyone has ideas of how to make that better, I'm willing to hear that. Then we come down to the next section that talks about the requirements for what will now be the building permit review. So just cleaner language, separate kitchen and bathroom facilities for each dwelling unit. We don't need to say that they have to meet the parking code because they will have to meet the parking code already. Separate utilities to each dwelling unit. Each dwelling unit will have its own address. And I'm taking out that they have to meet the building code, and then they have to, no temporary structures are allowed as a dwelling. That's already part of our code. Also taking out that they'll have to meet the emergency and fire code access standards, of course they will. That's part of the being in the city, and then, just saying that they have to, just adding the word area to the parking, that they have to have the concrete or asphalt parking. So that was that section, and then dimensional standards, making it the same as what we looked at before in that table. And then the lot requirements for dwellings and mini buildings. This is where we get into the setbacks finally. So changing it from 30 feet to 20 feet in the front, taking out the part about from the center line of the right of way, because in a lot of cases like this, we have private driveways, and it's hard to, you wouldn't take it from a private driveway. Also, this is the same as what we use in our conservation subdivision code, so trying to make it the same language that's used there so that it's just easier for staff, honestly, to deal with, because we know that this is the requirement when we're building a townhome.
Now, when you say private driveway, the 60 feet, it's not private drive-through, like lane? Is it a driveway or the lane that goes through?
So,
Like on this project, they have their garages and then they have their private way. So they don't have to deal with the 60 feet from that to the,
we just don't always have a right-of-way that's on the front of the property in a town
this wouldn't be the
situation.
front, this is in the back. So it wouldn't pertain.
Either way, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and that is pretty much it. That is all the changes, so this is a public hearing, and we can discuss it. We can make changes if you think there's anything that we can improve on here, definitely open to it. And then we can do a positive, negative recommendation to the city council, or we can table it if we work on this longer. I mentioned it is a public hearing, so just keep that in mind.
Public comment first, or?
It's up to you, how you want to do it, that might make sense.
Yeah, if anyone has any public comment on what we're discussing, feel free to step up.
I'm Steve Brown. I didn't hear all of the script that went on here, but I was just reading what is happening in this meeting tonight from the list. Now, these gentlemen are here probably representing a whole bunch of dollars. We have gone through this thing with 2 or 3 different meetings, and it just reminds me of something about college educations. There's a BS, an MS, and a PhD. What they're passing out, from what I can come up with, everybody knows what BS is. MS is more of the same, and PhD is piled higher and deeper. And that's what they're trying to shove down our throats, is that higher and deeper bunch of stuff that is not enlightening the Francis. They've got a new group of people here. They're going to lay the same line onto you that has been rejected before. Thank you for your time.
Can you go back up to the top?
Yeah, of course. Do you want to close the public hearing?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
We now close the public hearing.
Perfect.
Um,
Okay,
My only question, which I think I've figured out, is we're adding the residential cottage because it is the continuation of the smaller lots from AG1 down, just to make the.
right. To me, it made sense that the cottage would be eligible for a multifamily zone. If half acre lots are.
How does that fit? Cottage lots are 7,000 to 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, so, just logically, we're looking at some of the residential zones that would qualify. AG2 does not qualify. So we're looking at AG, or city center also doesn't, which that should be that. So generally, the places that have residential half or residential cottage zoning in the city are near the city center and they're near the major streets connectivity, so there's more connectivity. When you're looking at somewhere that you allow smaller lot sizes, that's generally what you're looking at, is somewhere that's near the center of the city and that has good access.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Can you go down a little more? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I brought my. Okay, so now this is a building permit review. So there's no site plan, so planning commission is not involved in any of this. This is all staff related.
Well, all of these things would have involved the planning commission anyway, looking at a kid, whether something has a kitchen and bathroom or has utilities to each unit, then meeting the codes. They have their own address. Those are all things that are staff level review when we do our building permits. So to me, looking at that list, it seemed like this is everything we do during a building permit review. It's not a site plan review.
The planning commission will review the zone change if it's
Yeah,
changed.
it would be a zone.
Right,
change.
yeah,
Okay.
it would,
That's what I was concerned.
anything would have
It's
to
just
be a zone change and we have
somebody's
to
just gonna
subdivision
do a building
process.
permit. Any other discussion, questions on
No, I read it previously. That was my
what
only
this says?
question.
Yeah, I've read it as well.
I mean, I think it makes sense to change it so that it can be aesthetically pleasing. I don't know that the space in that open area is really gonna make a difference.
I'm not a fan of, it's a big company, and they knew the rules, and now we're changing the rules. We discussed this before. But I guess it's, yeah.
I'm not a fan of changing the rules at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm concerned about. It's, we're, again, setting a precedent, and it seems like that's all we do. We get somebody, as Steve brought up, changes are made. They have one rule to live by, and then when it comes down to it, oh, we made a mistake. We did this instead, so we need to do it this way, or we're gonna do this. So we get, and that, it's not a threat, but I guess those buildings would be much smaller. Not that that's any advantage to us, but yeah, I don't know. But the fascia itself, if they go in and out, you'll see the difference. And then as that plan showed, if you want to bring it up again, you see stone, you see clapboards, you see board and batten. I don't know if board and batten's up there, but there's some different fascia on it. There you go. So you see the difference, different roof lines. And if you picture it as just one straight line,
It would look like the apartments in Camas as well.
Yeah. Well, it looked like the backs of their building would just be flat. And,
yeah,
I mean, see.
flat front, but this is what we would see.
Mhm.
This is what faces us if we're driving out
Yeah,
toward home.
and you said the setbacks would be the same as Hart, the townhouses in Hart. 'cause
Right, so there already is a precedent with our townhomes that we've already built in the city that are in the conservation subdivisions where they have the setbacks we're
Same.
proposing here. So I feel like this isn't really setting a new precedent, it's just extending the same code that we have for other townhomes to these ones.
Yeah. I mean, I understand, I think I appreciate everybody's point, but I don't
Yeah,
think this is a big deal.
Well, it seems like something where we can, I mean, I agree with the principle, I hate changing rules for builders, but I think our end result is something uglier and making our town uglier. And if we're just aligning it with the code that we already have for the conservation districts, it doesn't seem like we're giving up much. and we're getting a better looking town in exchange for that.
And this is the first time we've built anything in the zone. If it was the residential half zone, we would have been changing for one builder. This is the first time we've done anything in the zone, and so there are bound to be things that come up that we thought would be a good idea back when we made this code 5 years ago or 3 years ago, that now maybe don't seem like such a great idea when it comes to putting it on paper.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I still don't agree with it.
What else are they gonna throw at us after we do
I
something
mean, I
like
don't,
this?
just because we've already done it, doesn't make it right.
Yeah. I can't make a motion on it if we're ready to make a motion.
Maybe we should table it.
You wanna table it?
What would
That's
you
up
want
to
to
you
table
guys.
it for?
Yeah,
You
we
have to
don't,
have a
we
specific reason to table something.
don't- we don't have to be unanimous, do we?
No.
I mean, maybe we should wait for Sam.
Because I think right now we're split, it seems.
Well,
Yeah, it would be split, and if Sam, and I should only be the tie-breaking vote, correct?
no, you always have a vote.
I knew I have a vote, but, anyway, I guess that, well, no, that's not right. Yeah, Sam would make it more black and white, I suppose.
So we can keep talking about it. Like at first, when I first saw the plans and realized they weren't meeting code, I was very happy that it had gone that far. And then something comes to my desk, and there were other issues too, like height was 40 feet, which that's definitely not gonna work. So at first I was like, no, we gotta stick to our code, but then looking at the product that we're gonna get in the city, thinking what's gonna look the best for the city, I feel like this is the right thing to do. And it does match what we have in the other townhomes. So for me as a planner, when I'm looking at a plan review, it really simplifies it for me to know, okay, it's a townhome, it's gonna be 20 and 20 and 10. And then I've also looked at Hart and how that looks, and I feel like it looks good for a townhome. There's plenty of space there. I don't think it seems too cramped together. The reason we have these big setbacks is to try to make sure we're keeping some open space. But looking at Hart and how those look, I feel like it looks okay. So
I
that's,
think they look really crowded, and I've been in them. I mean, I've gone over and toured them and.
well, the inside, I'm talking about more about the outside.
I'm talking about the
Yes,
outside too. I think they are crowded.
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not trying to stir the pot, but I'm with Katie. I think they look pretty good for townhouses.
Yeah,
That might just be because I'm used to a different state, but yeah, I think they look fine with the area around them. And I think
so
the
if we
line-
don't approve this code, then what happens is Ivory Homes will continue and they will just submit plans with that same straight face. And that's what will happen. So if you don't wanna do this code, that's fine, but know that you will be getting basically row homes. They're not gonna come back and change the plans, they're just gonna do row homes. So that's one reason I feel like as a planner, this is the right thing to do for the city. I
Well,
think we're
maybe
gonna
we
get
should
a
wait for
better.
Samantha then.
Well, it's the same. Where is Samantha?
I thought she was coming.
I thought she was too, but
So did we make them comply on the height requirements and everything else, or?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, they have to comply with the height, so they are not doing a 40-foot townhome.
What happens if we tie?
Well, it would go to city council with a tie.
Yeah, we could send it
And they
to
would make
city
the decision.
council, yeah.
Doesn't it go to them anyway, or do we,
Right.
Well,
Or do we-
it's a recommendation, so we could send it to city council with that. I don't know, Scott, have you ever dealt with this before?
No,
With planning commission, I'm not sure.
Alright, well, we're not getting any younger, so I'll motion that we accept, staff's recommendations for the amendment as written.
I'll second.
Vote,
No.
yay.
No,
Yay.
Kimberly, what was your vote? No. Thank you.
Okay. We will take that motion and I'll just, I'll find out from our attorney how we handle that. Okay,
Okay. Next on the agenda,
okay, so the background on this next one, we've already been through quite a bit. So I'm not gonna go through the details because it's related to the same issue. So, like I mentioned, the Francis Commons Phase 2 and 3 subdivision plats were recorded in November 2023. Shortly after the plats were recorded, when Ivory Homes applied for building permits for the townhomes, it was discovered that some end units lots were too small and could not meet the required building setbacks. Ivory Development is requesting to amend the Francis Commons Phase 2 and 3 plats, changing the size of lots 209 to 210, 301 to 306, and 311 to 314 to accommodate the building setbacks for some end unit lots. So the end units are getting larger and the center units are getting smaller. And then not too much else is changing. The number and general configuration of the lots will remain the same. So I reviewed the plats, the amended plats, considering state law, city code, and all the parts of city code that apply, like amending a subdivision plat, city center zone, and multifamily zone. Those are the zones that are affected, and the amended plats were prepared in accordance with the state and local code. So the plat notes were reviewed by staff. I looked at all these plat notes to make sure nothing was changing there. And the only changes were just in relationship to the lots that were affected by the amendment, which is exactly what we want to see. And so I have one review comment. It's already been incorporated into the amended plats. And so I feel like they meet the code and there's no reason why we shouldn't approve that.
this is also a public hearing,
It
so
is a public hearing, yeah.
if anyone would like to step up to the microphone.
Don't mind. I just want to take those and send it in the documents. This is
Yeah,
Dodd, so I don't hold the back to the meeting, I'm sorry. That was just the water shares.
Alright.
And then briefly, I think Katie did an excellent job of explaining this. We found that the site plan that we had provided,
And your name?
oh, I'm sorry, Peter Danvers with Ivory Development.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, we had the site plan that showed the townhomes in this section, and then we provided the plat. The plat lines didn't work for the setback. We're not changing any of the site plan locations for this. It's a matter of changing the imaginary lines so that the site plan that was approved can fit. But I'm happy to answer any questions on this, but it's a pretty simple one, and Katie did a good job capturing it.
This is, let's see, this is the Phase 2 amended plat, so what's changing here is the city center portion is just getting a little bit smaller, and this lot 209 is getting a little larger. And then basically the same thing here, although more lots are involved, so these center lots are getting a little smaller, the end lot's getting larger. This the city center lot is staying the same, about the same size, with a slightly different shape, and then these two end lots are getting a little larger, and the center lots are shrinking a little bit to make sure they can get their setbacks, meet those.
And where are these in the big picture of that plan?
So this is on the south side of Scenic Heights Road. Scenic Heights is right here.
Oh, okay,
And then the other plat is on the north side. So Phase 2 is on the north.
I don't know if this is acceptable, if we're still in public comment, but I can show you on
As an
the
enclosed.
full set.
I
yeah,
don't think-
Okay, then I'm excited. It
it
just
goes on and on.
This is the purpose of the site, it just gives you some context.
Perfect, thanks.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry. And that site plan's unchanged, but it just gives some context where these flats are relative to.
Do you want to close public comment?
We can close the public comment.
Unless there's no, double check.
Is there anybody else?
Steve?
I have the same comments. This is poor engineering to start with, and they decided they can't do and make their money with what was there, so they want you to approve something else. Once again, 3 degrees of college.
Okay, point taken. Public comment is now officially closed. So they didn't lose any parking spaces.
No.
Yeah.
So you've gone from on phase 2, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think 9, down to 5?
No, so this, I'm sorry, am I able to speak?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're, okay, I can speak as applicant. Yeah, so no, site plan, this is the same site plan that has existed from the
So
initial.
the numbers haven't changed,
No
you're just
numbers.
squeezing some and expanding others.
We're just moving lot lines, so nothing on the ground is changing.
Doesn't sound very dramatic.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
That's a big deal.
I don't either.
Okay,
Nope.
A motion to approve?
I second.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
I do have one question since you're here. The multi-use project, what's going on the road? Is that starting soon?
Not yet, so the gentleman with me is Amro, and he's with Ivory Innovations. So that will be the condominium project. There's not plans in the system right now. Submitted.
Because originally, as I remember, the idea of doing all of this, we wanted those done first, and then that plan changed at some point. We didn't see the change, it just, Katie told us that that's what was happening. And, yeah, so there's nothing in your view?
Nothing submitted, no. There are,
Is it a year, 2 years?
So the idea right now is to build the affordable townhomes and the Ivory Homes townhomes
Yeah, I
and
get
the
that.
single-family homes, and then continue with the city center.
Yeah, it was supposed to be reversed, isn't that what it was? Wait.
I think that was the hope. I don't know that we could make that, say you had to build this first.
I thought that was, because I remember the discussion.
I know we discussed it and hoped that happened. I know Rick Rapp, he has the
commercial piece.
He has a commercial on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
They have one side of the road and he has the other. He's supposedly working on his right now too, so.
We're already working on some ideas, but it's still not fully developed.
you used the word affordable housing. What do you consider that to be?
So and if I may show here, these units over here, and then there's another 3 buildings next to it, which are these ones. These are for Ivory Innovations. Ivory Innovations is a nonprofit organization. We develop affordable housing. So affordable housing is we restrict the rents at a certain amount based on the average median income of the county. So these will be 25, and according to the IRC code and safe harbor rules, we need to have at least 75%, or not at least, sorry, 75% of the units at 80% AMI or less. That means, for example, if the average median income in in the county here is $100,000 a year, then 80% AMI means $80,000 for a family of four. And out of that, the rent cannot exceed 30% of that amount annually. So it will be at a reduced rent restricted unit.
And these will all be rent restricted?
The
They're 75%.
Just these right.
75% of them, of these four buildings, yes.
This was done outside of the development agreement that we elected to do so in-house. It's part of our nonprofit, so those smaller footprint townhomes that you can kind of see on that site plan, we've elected to put into our nonprofit foundation and have the income, the deed restrictions for income attainable. We're hoping that it will promote workforce housing in the area. And we hope to do something in that vein for the larger piece that's still being developed.
So if somebody's interested in renting these, is there like a process they go through to qualify?
They need to meet the income requirements.
Yeah.
If they are at or below the 80% for 75% of these four buildings, they can rent. These.
Through your nonprofit organization?
Yes, yes.
And again, this is not a part of the development agreement. We just have elected to do that through our foundation.
So the rents will be about $2,500 a month?
To be honest, I didn't calculate the numbers. I'm not the finance guy.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I just did a rough.
We'll have to meet and we get our requirements from Summit County. Their economic development director can get us all of that information and tell us which range we need to be at based on whether it's how many unit, like how many bedrooms are in the unit, things like that.
And yet the area median income, it's an annual number published by HUD.
Yeah, it's fluctuating.
We're very familiar with that.
Yes.
Sorry.
What's the square footage of those rental units? Any idea?
They will be around 1,300 units.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good size.
Those are the ones we shrunk when we realized we were well above code height. So
So we removed.
we shrunk those a little. We're in the process of shrinking those.
Okay.
Those for
so-
40 feet?
Not quite.
They were less than 40 feet, but.
They were definitely over.
Over 32.
Yeah.
We tried to take an existing product that we had and bring it.
And,
They've been adjusted.
one moment, you're Peter, but
This is
you're not
Pam.
saying.
Amber.
Okay, this is for public purpose, thanks.
So I've been texting the city attorney about the motion that we had on the last item. We might want to go back and revisit that item, it's up to you. The city attorney said that you can make a motion to move it on to city council and make mutual recommendation. But you need 3 votes on that motion to be able to pass it along. So it's up to you how you want to handle it.
So essentially what we did didn't work.
Well, that's the first part, and then
And
if
the
you want to
second part
move it, you
is-
have to make a motion to move it to city council with a
Neutral
neutral recommendation. Yeah, if you want to move it along, if you don't want to do anything else with it, then. so we can move it back.
But that's gonna be up to these two, because I think Rich and I already spoke.
Yeah,
So let me throw in another 2 cents here. So just looking at the plan, with the garages in the back and the entrances in the front, the setback we're talking about is the front, correct? Not the back.
off of, yeah, so,
And so then the concerns about vehicles sticking out of the front and going into the road or whatever, I think those become less significant. And it really becomes just kind of an optical, based on how these homes are laid out. And I think that's not necessarily a good reason for why we change the rule all the time. I'm saying in this instance, I think that's a positive.
I just think it sets a precedence that we're gonna change the rule now, we're gonna change it again, let us change it here, let us change it there. Like, I'm just gonna take a stand. I mean, I'm not saying that the townhomes in Hart Crossing are horrible, I'm not saying that, but I've seen better, and I would rather do better.
okay, let's talk about moving the motion. Do you feel like it's something we should move to city council and let them know we have a split vote so they can consider that? It's up to you if you think that's something.
Yes,
going
because
on.
I don't really want to end up with straight block, non-architectural design. I don't think that's the answer, and I don't think anything we have the authority to vote or recommend on can be set. There is no precedent to set. It's all gonna be a vote continuously every single time. So you can't say that it's gonna be the same thing every time when we have to vote every time.
I'm not saying it's gonna be the same thing every time. I'm saying that I don't wanna have to cave in every single time.
I mean, I understand that, but that's what the word precedent means, is that it would be the same every time.
Do you wanna make it neutral, move it to the city?
Yeah, as the chair, I'd say move it, let it go to city council and let them make the decision.
Okay, so we'll need a motion for that.
Okay, I motion that we move for a neutral recommendation, allow city council to vote.
I second it.
Okay,
I,
aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We're done with that. Thanks for answering our questions. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Sorry, did I miss the plat amendment vote?
That was approved.
Okay.
Yeah, the
I'm
plan
sorry.
amendment was approved, and then the other one was, neutral, and that will be moved on to the city council.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Number 5, also a public hearing, and it's a general plan. Steve, any comments on our general plan? Steve, what do you got?
I haven't seen it.
That's because we're just working on it.
Okay. No, what is it, something about the, keep me in the dark and feed me, BS?
Yeah, treat you like a mushroom.
Steve,
That's me.
anytime you want to see this, you're welcome to come in, I'll print it for you, send it to you, email it, whatever you want. You just have to say, can I get a copy? And I'll say yes. It's for
Okay,
public review.
Guess what, I'll be up to see it.
Perfect, I'll be ready.
I'll give you mine right now.
Yeah.
Scott saves the day.
Scott, you're such a team player.
This could
I like
take more than an afternoon reading.
All right, so, general plan, we made it. Hopefully, we'll see. But anyway, just as an update, it looks different, but really the wording, everything is basically the same. We've already been through over several meetings looking at the verbiage. There were some changes to the trails section. I got some input from the South Summit Trails Foundation and incorporated that. So that was one of the big areas that changed. And then the appendix was all new, so the history and the acknowledgements and the survey results being incorporated. That is a new addition, but it is in the appendix. So anyway, I'm happy to go through this however you want. You can, I'm not sure, I know Bob has some comments, so if you want to go section by section, we can talk about those. Ken, it sounds like you went through it too, so. Okay,
Should we just go page by page and just
Sure.
turn the pages?
yeah, is everybody good with the cover?
Love it.
Great. Thanks to Buyer Names for that picture. That's a good one.
Thanks, Byron.
Yeah. Okay, Google Contents, we're good with that. I don't want to assume.
Yeah, I, normally get the time to go through, and I'll admit, this time I'm the bad one, I did not have the time to go through.
Well, like I said, it is mostly what you already reviewed before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my recommendation is let's look at the changes, but let's go page by page, so, you had typos, I saw you over here.
Yeah, I just went through, because I was an English major. So I went through and took out some wordy stuff.
No, that's great.
So I'm just gonna hand it over because there's a lot.
Okay, well, let's probably just talk about it then, because this is something that's why we're here tonight.
Yeah, let's do it.
No, let's just get going on it then. And
Okay,
if you want to hand me your copy too, that's great, but
Yeah, I was just
feel like
gonna
we
be
should.
happy.
talk about it first and see what the group thinks, since it's coming from the planning commission to the city
I mean,
council.
I'm not like changing sentences or anything, I'm just fixing
grammar.
grammar.
Perfect.
So page
I'm glad
one,
you're looking at it.
anything on page one?
Yep, show one.
Okay, page one.
Getting rid of the and, I see it.
Yeah, there's too many ands.
Yeah, so it's all commas and and is on the last.
Elements of the general plan, we get rid of the and before trails.
Oh, yep.
So,
Oh, wait, that section, so the fourth element is parks, open space, and trails. That's the name of that section.
Then get rid of the comma,
yeah,
find trails.
Okay. So no comma, but leave the and?
Somebody taught me you can only use one and you use a comma.
Oh, no. I know, it does look a little weird, I definitely agree with you on that one, so.
well then why do you have the and before the fifth one, because you don't have,
Well,
So wouldn't the 5 move?
so you have an and before the two.
Oh, I see
You
what you're
don't have
saying.
an and before the 3, you don't have an and before the 4. It
Right.
just needs to be consistent.
Okay, so this is what I was
I see.
thinking here. So we say that we're covering the two that are required by the state, land use and transportation. And then 3 other elements of importance to residents of Francis were also included in this plan. There are. So number 3 was public utilities. The 4th element is parks, open space and trails. And the 5th element, economic development.
Can you flip those without changing the order, or does that mess it up?
Messes it up because it's kind of in that order in this
Got it.
general plan, so. It's in that order,
I
that's
mean,
why
this
it's
is not tragic.
Okay,
Moving on.
all right. Page 2, unless anyone has anything else on page 1.
Nope.
Okay, page 2.
Every time you're citing city, I don't think it should be capitalized.
That's how we do it in all our standard city documents.
You do? I mean, I can see if it says city center,
Yeah,
that's city, or city common area or whatever.
that's because it's a legally defined term,
Okay,
so that's why we do it, but
so I don't
Okay.
love it.
I will check into it and see if we have to do that, because I personally don't love having city capitalized.
Under core values, I eliminated the word that. A well-maintained and efficient transportation system, including trails.
Okay. I like it.
Land use, the last sentence. Growth will be sustainable, well-planned, and consistent with the zoning map and
Okay.
general plan.
Like it, got it.
Francis will maintain, improve, and expand existing transportation systems to continue to allow for safe and efficient flow of traffic.
So adding an S to systems.
And then eliminating the 2 thes.
Okay, let me see.
Should I just hand you this?
Well, yeah, at the end you can, for sure. That will make it easier, but I want, since the planning commission's gonna have to make a recommendation on this, I want everyone to be aware of the
Okay.
changes and agree on them.
And public, right?
And the public too, of course. Okay, so the to the, I'm not seeing it,
Okay, the first one is before existing.
and expand existing transportation systems
To continue
to continue to allow for
for safe and
safe
efficient
and
flow
flow
of
of
traffic.
traffic. Okay, good, like it.
Francis will strategically plan and implement improvements to water and sewer utilities, ensuring necessary services are provided to the community either ahead or before significant growth.
Okay, so what are the changes, sorry?
Okay, so you're eliminating the 2 after utilities, and instead of just ensure, you're putting ensuring,
Got it.
and then you're eliminating and occur in advance of, and you're putting either ahead or before significant growth.
Okay? Is everyone else good with that?
Mhm.
Either ahead or,
Before?
is that the same thing?
Yeah, I'm just saying you can use either
Oh,
word.
God, I was
I'm not
writing it
saying
down.
to say ahead or before, just pick one.
Okay, ahead of significant growth. Yeah, I like it, makes it less wordy, okay.
And then I'm eliminating the that in economic development. It says Francis will foster a pro-business environment to bring in new economic opportunities, broadening the city's tax base.
Got it, like it.
And then I eliminated the last, that is, you put a comma after charm, and then take out that is reflective of the city's heritage.
Okay, so character and charm, comma, reflective of the city's heritage. Okay, sounds good. Any other comments on the vision element? The vision part? Okay, great.
Okay, so then, vision, Francis will continue to be a rural family-friendly community, preservation of our agriculture and heritage, dark skies, scenic views, and open spaces are our priority.
Okay,
Growth, and then just take out the will be, it's fine without the will be in the next sentence.
growth, sustainable.
Growth will be sustainable, well-planned, and consistent with the zoning map and the general plans.
The second will be,
Yep, got it. That sounds good.
That's it for that one.
Okay. That's it for page 4.
Right, I'm on that now.
Does anyone else have anything on page 4? And everyone's good with those changes. Great. Okay.
Okay, and land use goal 1, encourage development, respecting and preserving the character. I put a Francis City instead of the city every time, but. So
Encourage
respecting and
development.
preserving instead of that respect.
Okay, so encourage development.
Respecting and preserving the character of Francis City.
Everybody good with that?
Okay, and then there's a couple more. Encourage residential development to occur in conservation subdivisions, preserving open space. And then eliminate the and. So then under policy 1D, take out the and before limit and say to. And that's it for page 5.
Okay, anyone else on page 5? Great. Okay.
Carefully plan for growth, ensuring, and then just eliminate that. And it sounds fine without it.
Sorry, which one was that?
Just land use goal 2, the that before development
Ensuring development occurs
occurs
in
in
suitable
suitable
locations.
locations.
Okay.
And then take out the, in policy 2B, take out the and after use and use a comma.
Okay. Okay, sorry, say that one again. 2B on page 6. Okay.
Yeah,
Land,
policy 2B,
uh-huh.
guide land use, comma, growth decisions through application of the general plan, zoning map, and future land use map.
I think that's past, I don't think there's a comma there, because there's not 3 things. Guide land use and growth decisions through application of the general plan. I mean, I don't know.
are these tied to something?
Just saying that we're gonna use the general plan, zoning map, and future land use map to guide our land use decisions. Land use and growth decisions.
I mean, you can keep it.
I don't know, to me, I think it's fine the way it is, but
All right.
I don't know, what do you
You
guys
have to
think?
take my recommendations.
Grammatically, she's right. If that and isn't connected to something like it was previously, where it's a different subject.
Mhm. Okay,
But you can, it's okay to have a typo.
I mean, there's 25 pages if we want to get through this.
okay, let's keep going, let's keep going. I agree.
I'm just trying to knock it out of the park here.
Okay,
Page
okay,
6.
anything else on page 6?
Page 6 for me is putting the new city hall rendering in instead of the old, this old picture. Because we
Okay.
have a rendering,
Oh, good call.
because it's gonna be 5 years, so.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Okay,
Page 7, you can eliminate the 2 was. Vision, Francis will maintain and further expand existing transportation systems. So add the S to systems.
Got it?
To continue to allow for safe and efficient flow of traffic.
Okay. If you guys all don't wanna go through this punctuation stuff, I guess you could make a motion just to have me check Kim's. If you don't wanna go through this,
I was
we
just
could make a
thinking,
motion that I could, go through her comments too.
go through Kim's, can you email it and can we, or do we have
Read
to
it?
accept Kim's? I'm trying to think of like a faster way.
Yeah, we can accept, take into consideration Kim's comments and incorporate those.
All I'm doing is eliminating the wordiness. I mean, all the that's, there's like 3 on this page that aren't necessary.
I haven't
I just want.
I haven't found an egregious error. Her grammar has been, and I'm no grammar expert.
Spot
Her
on.
grammar has been spot on through page 6, so.
That's
I have a
good.
serious
I
comfort
can see
level
where
at
this
this
is
point.
going. I think we're all good with what's happening here.
Does anybody have other changes? I do not have other changes.
Page 8 for me, the transportation goals and policies. Is this whole thing 1 through F? Well, D and F seem to be redundant.
Okay, so D says, so are you talking about 1D?
Yeah. Well, not take it out, but
What
just
page?
discuss page 8.
Page 8, policies 1D.
Everything's, the street master plan, and then it just seems like it's,
I feel like one's maintaining and one's planning.
Continually monitor and evaluate the road system to ensure that proposed and existing road designs will adequately meet the demands of the community. And then F is the street master plan should be regularly updated to reflect current development patterns, changes in transportation needs, and projected funding levels.
could that be done in one?
Man, to me, those are two
They're kind of different because
different things.
the second, the one F is if we have a subdivision, our master plan shows a straight road because we just show we want a road from here to here. The development comes in and it looks like it's winding. So we'll update that. That's all one F is just to
Okay.
update that.
All right.
That's
I did have one question on page,
Hey Scott, will you do me a favor and go make a copy of the page I forgot to do before the meeting? Do you mind doing that? Thank you.
Katie, is there a reason why there's a different map on page 7 and the others for the city?
Page 7.
It shows the street master plan.
Oh, yeah, that needs to be updated, which is one of our implementation goals, is to update it.
I had a question on page 19, under
Okay.
goals and policies. And so it says, the first goal, the rate of commercial growth will be higher than the rate of residential growth.
Yeah.
Is that right, or is this backwards?
That's the goal.
Is to grow our business faster than our residential?
Yeah, because we need to broaden our tax base so that we all don't have a huge tax increase to maintain the city. So our residential, the income we get from residences will always put us in the hole, like repairing our streets, utilities, all of that. Every year, we're getting a little farther behind. Commercial helps you to get ahead of that.
Was that wasn't something that was reflective on our survey though, was it?
This was a goal that was communicated to me from the mayor, that he felt like it was important that we encourage our commercial growth to be a higher rate than the residential growth. And I think on the survey, it did seem like a lot of people were concerned about the rate of residential growth, and a lot of people were also wanting more services in town, like restaurants, things like that. So I think it's a combination of discussions with the mayor about his vision for the city, and something that's important to him, and then I think that's in some ways reflected from the survey as well, that people are wanting to slow down residential growth, but then try to get some more services here for the residents.
And I think also there was and I can't remember exactly, but it seemed like we had a lot of people indicating that they didn't want to pay more taxes.
That too, which this would help with
Exactly.
that.
I mean, I get the difference,
Yeah.
right? Like, I understand it, but to what degree, to what year, to what point?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
this is the
Like-
next 5 years.
Right. Okay, that was the only question I had.
Okay,
Are there any businesses that are proposing
several.
several?
We have several approved site plans and site developments, commercial developments. So,
Of what type of commerce?
so going down 32, there's a hotel that's proposed. It's in the very early planning stages. Hotel. Very early planning stages. That is on the west side of 32, and then just a little farther down, there's a commercial development called Blind Rabbit that has approved 5 more commercial buildings. They'll be professional and office space. A little bit farther south on 32, there's a development called Route 32 West Harwood, and that has multiple buildings. It's a pretty large development. The city center zone, there's one on the corner here that's called Town Center, and that is a mixed-use development. It has like 21,000 square feet of retail and 21 residential units. So there are quite a few that are coming in the last 3 years. They've all paused a little bit right now because of the cost of borrowing money because of interest rates being higher, so they've all paused, but they all have approved plans, except for the hotel doesn't have an approved plan yet.
So it's still pie in the sky.
Oh, that is,
I guess we'll see.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Will they see it pie in the sky?
we might, I know, I think the goal is to, thank you, Scott.
Steve, it's only gonna be 20-story building. Hotel.
The goal is to
No,
get
that's
some.
fine. I'm gonna be dead by the time it starts.
Thank you, Scott. We'll look at that in a minute, forgot to copy.
What page is this in there?
I have one more comment.
We'll
This
go,
is
I'll-
our-
it's the implementation schedule, so that we'll set up dates on when we're doing things.
I like it.
I looked at what you had to say about Lemon Grove.
Yeah.
You say they were still used for these different things?
That was from the historical, the Camas Valley History Group said that to me.
Okay, why don't you go to the horse's mouth on that?
Okay, what's the horse's mouth say, Steve?
I have a key to that place,
Is it still used?
and it is very limited use.
Very limited use.
We have 3 groups that meet down there each summer. And I think there's still a few rentals in there. And we have the 3 groups, and I understand that there are 2 more. But that is extremely limited.
Okay, so it says most of the cabins have now been demolished, but the grove still runs for family use.
Okay, I'll agree with that because they live
Okay.
across the street.
Okay, so what would you say differently in that section
What does it say, the last comment about what it's used for?
for family use?
It says something about weddings in there.
Okay,
You ain't gonna get one. I hate to put it that way.
you're not gonna get a wedding? Oh, it said,
Outside of the family.
it said the grove was a popular venue for outings and picnics and even a wedding.
Okay.
But now it's mostly family use is what my understanding is. That's what the history group told me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call Ruth and talk to her.
Ruth
Lemon,
Lemon?
it's in her name.
Okay.
She can tell you stories about that you wouldn't believe.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to read this, folks, and thank you for your time. And you will be hearing from me. I'm a grouchy old brother.
I'm glad to hear from you, Steve, anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Steve.
Okay, so let's go back to the general plan, and do we have any other comments, not related to grammar?
I asked my own question.
You had one? Anybody else have anything?
Nope.
That's it? Okay, so the one about transportation, we're gonna leave the same. Okay, so that's it on that. Anything else on any of the general plan? I look at Kim's comments.
Did we shorten it at all? Or did we
Yes.
make it- We did?
Oh, yeah,
Because that was the other question I had.
Yeah, way
Was it
shorter. way
All
shorter.
right, here, I'm gonna give it to you.
Thank you. So with the appendix, probably like, not really, but I don't really count the appendix as part of it because it's just the supporting documents and, so before, there was 52 pages. So now we're down to like what, 20,
26, wasn't it?
27, we're not even 27. So that's part of the appendix.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and the history got moved to the appendix, but it's longer now, so I think that's, so we had 19 before the appendix, so less than half. Good. Yeah. Okay, so the paper that Scott handed out, it gives our, this is kind of like the last detail we need to add is those implementation goals. We need to have a schedule on there and when we want to accomplish them. So we've got 5 years to do all of this. We need to set some priorities for what's important. I'll give my 2 cents that I think it's important, the most important project for me in land use. I think they're all important, but I would say project 3 needs to happen first. Closely followed by project 1, and maybe even in conjunction, maybe at the same time, because we are gonna do a big code amendment this year to capture all of the legislative changes that have happened, so I think this would be a good time to do that. The architectural changes, but I do wanna work on the future land use map and the zoning map. I don't know, to me, project 3 probably should come first, and project 1 should be like basically at the same time. Project 2 could take a little longer. Let's just talk about it like section by section. So for land use,
So are we saying first year, second year, third year, fifth year, whatever? How do you want to break it up?
yeah, I'd probably have more in the beginning, because some of these will need to happen sooner than later. And like project 1 is already kind of scheduled to happen this year, so.
Do you want to write in deadlines next one, when they should be done by?
Yeah, should we do it by year? Should we do it by month and year? I don't know.
I wonder, should we just do it by year first and then come back and put it into order?
If we want to, yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
just revisit it after.
Okay.
So you just said,
So project 1, we basically have a plan to do a big code overhaul this year.
So do that. in the
so
first
1 and 3 are
2
both
years.
in year 1.
Yeah, I guess we could make project 3 next year.
I mean, we haven't got,
Because then we're gonna be looking at transitions and what, we want to shift density or,
Yeah, I think we should look at that this year.
I think so. Okay, let's just say this year. We'll just kill ourselves at first here. Great. Project 2, I'm thinking like 2026 or 7.
For dark skies, is it that big of a, is it that
Do
hard?
quite a
to
bit of
do?
research to see. It's just that we can't do everything at once. can't
can
do
we
all-
say, let's just say, so, yeah, I was gonna say year 3, to give us some buffer as we go through, and then if we have room, we can move it up. But if we're just generally plotting out
Yeah,
a priority, I mean, dark skies is important, but
it's important.
can we
So
put it in,
2026?
I don't know, I'm just doing by year, are you ready?
I'm just-
Oh, you're right, you're doing it, I was like year 1, so that'd be 2 or 3,
So 2026 would be 3.
okay?
Okay. Transportation, Scott, what do you feel like needs to happen? I'm thinking street master plan first, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the city streets and construction specifications, we're working on those right now. So that's something that'll probably come this year.
So 2 is actually a 1, project 2 is the
Twenty
first year.
twenty-four.
Yeah,
Should I change how I'm doing this?
It's up to you. You just know that one is 2024.
I don't remember everything.
Oh.
2024, let's just do this, 24.
So 2025 for project 2, Scott, is that what you're saying?
no, 2024 for project 2, project 1 would probably be 2025. And then upgrade the city maintenance plan, that's kind of a yearly thing,
That's ongoing, isn't
yeah.
Okay, so is that just ongoing?
Yeah, just say ongoing.
So annually update the city maintenance plan?
Yeah,
All right, I'll change it, so it says annually update.
Weekly?
it? Weekly.
after each winter.
Those gaps are getting pretty big.
Okay, so public utilities number 1 should be January of 2024.
Well, when-
Just saying.
Yeah, when is that? When is that?
Just
coming down?
saying,
That is
the number one. That's
Project
like
for the
top of the
city.
page,
It has to be done.
Yeah, it's,
Should that be 2022?
yeah.
it is there. 2024, that one, July of 2024 is when it's gonna be done.
And there's really nothing for us on that.
No, a lot of these aren't land use related, but they're still
Yeah.
part of the city's plan.
Update the capital facility plan?
Scott, what do you think on that one?
When's, let's see. That's probably, we're gonna work on that this year. So put 2025 on that.
What is that exactly?
Yeah,
That's just going through, looking at, all our water lines, see how growth has happened. That's how we determine what our impact fees and stuff are gonna be. And we updated it in 2018, so we'll be updating it this year. As part of our things, we can be updating our impact fees, so. I just go through like all the water, the sewer, and the roads, you know, where we're coming, what was built, and what densities count, and stuff like that, so.
To increase an impact fee, is that just something that city council votes on?
Yes and no. We have to have, they vote to increase it, but we have to have numbers to back it up.
To back it
So
up?
we can't just say we want the impact fee, be $5,000. We have to say, okay, we gotta do this improvement, and this is the growth that's gonna happen, and this is what it has to pay for it, so.
Good.
It's,
I'm a huge advocate for secondary water, but I feel like that's way on the back end,
I agree with you, probably like 2026.
or 7.
yeah. Probably 2027.
Oh, number 1, right,
Right, number 1 right now.
Yeah.
before
January
my 3-year-old
2024.
gets a plug.
Oh, he's so cute, by the way.
No, thanks. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm being facetious, this has to come after major things, but I think before we get too far down the road, like, we gotta get some of this stuff in here.
Yeah, I agree.
We have, was there Corey Dutton from the East Side Trails? She's on top of it for our area.
Just for our area, not
Just
like
for
connecting
trails.
us into,
She's,
Valid.
yeah,
Valley,
but she's specifically us. Camus and Francis.
Okay.
And then Oakley and the others are a few. other
so is that
people.
2024?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of,
Dedicated person?
yeah, she's getting money for,
The Hilltop Trail.
Hilltop Trail. She's got $25,000 for that, so that's in the works. And, what else? Park Crossing,
So 2024 on that one?
yeah, that would be 2024. It's ongoing too, because anytime something comes up, if
But
we have
this
something.
is our plan, not necessarily their plan.
Right,
What's
right.
that?
We'll definitely work, we'll coordinate with
Sure.
the South Summit Trails Foundation.
Yeah.
That's one of our policies, is that we'll coordinate with them.
Because our biggest thing would be getting money for these trails.
Right.
And that's what we can use
They
them
can
for.
help with that. Scott, do you feel like that's attainable since you're gonna be the one mostly doing that?
Where's it a next year thing?
I think we'll work on it this year, but I think it's probably gonna take a year or two to get done.
Even Hilltop?
No, not the trip, just the master plan and stuff like that.
Oh, the master plan.
Like a master vision of connecting
Gotcha.
all of
The
these.
Hilltop thing that she's wanting to do this year.
Yeah, in the spring.
Okay.
So I'd just say 2025 on that one.
Okay, Wild Little Park and future improvements at Francis Park. We did get a pretty nice grant from Summit County to keep working on it, and I'm going to be applying for another grant from the state of Utah to hopefully get enough money to finish it. So I'd say 2026
What did the county give,
reasonable,
what did the county give us for that?
108,000.
Nice.
To do the other half of that?
Part of the other half. And then we have to try to get more money from other grants. Huh?
Do you have an estimate for the other half? What is it?
It's
Fine.
like 380.
For the other half.
Really?
So expensive, yeah.
You sure we can get the boys out there and just build it?
Right?
That is, we had 3 bids that came back in, and that was the lowest.
They're all in cahoots.
Interesting, okay. I
I don't know, so, we could try 2026, maybe 2027, depending on how much, it's hard to say, because we just have to keep trying to get grant money to do it, so.
Well, then project 3 is like 2027 then, right? Because you have to have all that stuff in place before you can decide what you're gonna impact a fee for.
Yeah, I'd say so. What do you think, Scott, 2027?
Yeah,
Is that in line with the other impact fee update?
no. It could be more like 2025, I think. Because if we're updating the capital facilities plan, we're gonna update the impact fees, we'll wanna try and
You got
get
one.
something in there. So I would say 2025 on.
Okay. And then economic development, there's 2 things there. So project 1 already happened, so that one.
Check.
Yeah.
Kyle will, see if we get the money for it.
Didn't we pass 2?
No.
Oh.
No, we should do that, but we just have to decide when I think would be a good time.
And this would be for nightly rentals as well?
Yeah, Airbnb, hotel, any of that. It's not a huge, I don't think it'll be a
That
big
seems like more
time.
work for you, but I think for us, that would be pretty fast.
I don't think it's gonna be too bad.
I mean, you have to look at your schedule and what's on your plate and decide that, because for us, I think we're all on board, like,
Yeah.
that makes sense, right?
No, I think it makes sense. Let's just say 2025, but I'll probably start
For project 1 or 2?
2. 1 is a 2024. And so what we'll do every year is we'll look at these projects, probably every January, and see where we're at, see if we need to change our schedule. It's something, this general plan is something that we should be amending every year based on the current city needs. It won't be this huge overhaul like we did this year. It will just be like fine tuning it for where we're at. And then 5 years from now, we will do another overhaul, but every year we should just take a look and see where we're at, see if we want to add different implementation projects. We can add things down the road too.
So we have 4 for 24, 5 for 25, and 2 in 26.
And 127,
Oh, I missed it, I wrote it on the side, and 1 for 27, outstanding.
okay. All right, thank you all for helping with that.
So that is done, general plan.
We need a motion if we think we're ready to pass it on to city council
Can we
with Kim's
motion,
comments.
can we motion it without
I
the
mean,
final grammar?
I'm so grateful to do
Updates.
that. I was just like,
Yeah, she said we
I
can.
did, I really
So-
did.
So I motion that we forward to city council with Kim's grammar updates included in that version that's sent to them
With a positive recommendation.
with a positive recommendation.
I second.
Aye.
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 Awesome, thank you all.
Okay, question on, our cement plant that's working over here. Do we collect the tax from them?
So we,
I know there's an annual fee,
Yes.
but when they sell,
She paid up in full.
when they sell cement to someone, it's taxed.
so we get a sales tax.
Do we get a piece of that?
Yeah, any business that sells something in the city, they have their business, they have to be registered through the state, and TD checks all that.
Yeah.
And make sure that they're registered through the state, so that when they sell something, that the sales tax comes
The
back to
state
us.
sent it to us every month. But she also paid us $10 for a truckload, and she paid that up for last year already.
And you said we also get tax from the, storage garages.
We do, we get a per square foot fee for the storage units.
Oh, just an annual fee.
Yeah, when they renew their business license every year, they have to pay that.
So there's no tax on when they rent theirs.
I don't know how that works. Do you
No, it has to
get
be a
taxed
good-
back?
That's what I was asking, if there's sales tax, if we get, like, I
It has to
don't,
be.
I didn't get an answer, I just
I
know
think
that.
there's
It's
some
a
kind of
revenue.
report, we could check
It's a
out and
revenue.
see where it's coming from.
I don't think so. I just was looking into this for my personal, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You have to have an like a physical good that you're selling.
But that's probably why we did the square footage fee, just to be able to get some benefit to the city.
What about the Frontier Cafe? We get her sales tax, don't we?
Yeah.
And then none of that money can be used for our toilets or our.
Orlando.
It just goes to the general fund.
So that pays for your fee for tonight.
She's our treasurer.
Not all of it. 'cause
Can we use that tax revenue for our parks to help speed along the parks?
What happens to the sales tax revenue? Like, does it go to the general fund and then we decide how to break that
I
out?
think it will, all of that goes in, and Susan will be the best person to answer that, because she takes care of that aspect of our business.
Yeah, it just goes into the general fund as part
Goes
of our
into the
budget.
general
It's
fund.
like that.
Okay, I didn't see minutes.
So we did add some minutes this afternoon. They were from the July meeting. Let me pull those up. It was pretty short.
Short, this is general.
That was when we were
Very
talking about the survey
That was
results from the general plan.
Hoorah and roll.
So NT did these, and it's just a little more than one page. It talks about, let's see, call the meeting to order. Bob and Sam were missing from that meeting. We talked about the general plan, went through the staff, she just referenced the staff report. I don't know why the screen did that.
Yeah, my feelings are still hurt. You can put it up for water shortage, but not for complaining.
So we spoke about we also talked about the water issue, that had just been resolved, and the test came back positive. So,
Yeah.
and then I had a little flyer update there on Frontier Days. So,
Yes.
and the meeting was over by 7:10,
Yeah.
so.
The one over
I was looking at that.
So you just need a motion to approve minutes as written.
Yep.
So I motion to approve July
second.
minutes.
I,
Aye.
Hi, wonderful.
Happy Friday.
Planner update?
Planner update, yes, I'm ready for my step away. Got excited for no reason. Sorry guys, it's gonna be a little bit of a longer planner update tonight.
Is there stuff?
There's stuff,
Oh.
there's stuff.
Time out, let me,
Okay, so,
maybe I was jumping the gun.
okay, it won't take that, it's not that bad, there's just kind of a list here. So, the city council decided that for Frontier Days, they want to have a committee. And the committee, they're trying to find people for this committee. So if you are interested in being on the committee, please let me go in the office, like me or Antini or Susanna or the mayor, if you're interested in being on the committee. But they are
What is the
trying to
committee
get
gonna
together. So they had a committee in the past, but they haven't for a while. But they planned Frontier Days, they help coordinate it and run it. They've decided it's really hard for the city council to do it on their own, and they need some help to make sure it runs smoothly. So there's everything from helping with the rodeo and planning that to concessions, all the activities that happen during the weekend, like the movie night, vendor booths, the live music, bounce houses. We need help coordinating all of that.
See.
Anyway,
How big do they need the committee to be?
I think they said they were looking at 4 to, how do you were there? You said 6 members
6 added on to them,
plus that.
and they were saying 2, 1 would do the arena,
Mhm.
and another committee doing anything outside of the arena.
Yeah, for a while they were thinking of having 2 separate committees, one that does everything in the arena and another one that does everything out. But I think they decided
Oh, they didn't do
just
that?
have one committee that does it all. But people will be assigned to different
In or out?
parts of it. in
And
or-
then, you know, they can help each other too.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So let us know. We'd love if you could have some help on that. There was an annexation we talked about, the Foothills of Francis Gate annexation. I don't remember that one. That was approved by city council. The height and grade code text amendment we talked about, where one of the key issues was raising the parapet walls 10 feet. You might remember that. The city council approved the amendment, but they did not approve the part about parapet walls. So they took that part out, so it's not going to be considered an architectural element. Parapet walls are, but everything else got approved with that one. There is a your meeting, or a meeting on the your property,
Tuesday.
22nd, right?
22nd, yeah.
Oh, Monday. At the
Let's see.
library, right?
Yeah, I'm out of town, so I didn't pay too much attention.
Yeah. It's on the
Can somebody go
22nd.
there and just say trails over and over again? for
Is
me?
it at the library or
I'm
the
gonna
city
like
hall?
do pictures.
Yeah.
Like, this is what.
It's put on by the county, so I think it's gonna be the library.
Yeah, it's at the Summit County Services Building, the Campus Services Building, and it's from 6 to 8. So if anyone's interested, the last meeting I went to on the Your Ranch property was really interesting. So
It was really.
I didn't even know that they had one.
we did, yeah, it was for the city council. It was a public meeting, but it was more the city council that they wanted us to invite. But it was a public meeting, so anyway, there's this other one, and it will probably be a lot the same, I'm thinking, but this one has childcare and a light dinner, so.
They're really motivated to get
Even
people
more
out.
fun. But it was really interesting
I'm gonna
last
go.
time.
Are you going?
Yeah, I went to the first one.
I wish I would have known about it. Why was it so interesting?
Somebody go say trails for me.
It's, the process, are you familiar with the property?
Yeah.
By the way.
They're paying $25 million. They paid $5 million. And now everyone, they want people to think out of the box on how we're gonna pay them 20 in 3 years. So,
There's a bunch of millionaires over there that are looking for
Still
a
alive,
tax
Paul.
write-off.
yeah, exactly.
We just need to get them to give the money and we're good.
But it was
Otherwise,
interesting with the people that were there. It was, who was the councilman? Armstrong? Was that, yeah.
Chris Robinson.
Chris Robinson. Interesting guy. And he was just explaining the stuff and how the advantage to us, to the community. And it was nice that they had Camus Planning, Francis Planning and City Council from them, and the county. So there were county commissioners there, people from the county lands, MAG, that Sherry was there. It was an interesting meeting.
Yeah, so, I think, it might be worth your time if you're curious about what's gonna happen with your property. So that is the 22nd from 6 to 8. And then last is, we talked about for the conservation subdivision townhomes, remember we talked about the moderate income requirement, going from 100% to 20%. That was supposed to be on the December agenda, but then it got pushed off because, I think there was just, trying to remember, I think there was not gonna be a full council there, and they wanted to give it was already a busy meeting, they wanted to give it enough time, so they thought, okay, we'll move it to January. Well, then, with the Christmas holiday, it didn't get noticed appropriately with the 10-day required notice we're supposed to give for a public hearing. So it will be happening in February, the February City Council meeting. And I know a lot of you wanted to be there to be able to talk about why the Planning Commission was negatively recommending it. And that will be, February 8th.
So a quick question, so my understanding is that, I think I heard that the builder had rejected the proposal. Was that correct? That the 20%, the builder said that they weren't going along with that?
Well, there's 3 projects.
Right, and so, yeah, so I should probably be specific, so which one I talked, so I talked about the,
Hidden Meadows?
Hidden Meadows.
Right, they said no to the 20%.
Right.
We saw the, kind of an update to be expecting for the final plat where they're taking out the townhomes.
Mhm.
So,
Which was why we voted no.
so they said, no, we don't want to do the 20%. That's too hard for us, so we're just gonna take out the townhomes altogether. So they opted, which by code it's fine, they're still in our meeting our code, they opted to take out the townhomes. But at heart, we already have townhomes that have been built. And so.
And they're supposed to be 100% median income.
Well, that one was a little different because it was the development agreement, maybe it was the annexation agreement. One of the agreements was made before we had the code in place, the moderate income code. So that one, they aren't required to be deed restricted. They were required to meet a certain AMI threshold for the first sale. Then after that, they could be whatever. So that one was they're all a little different.
So 1 out of the 16 is median income?
So with the 20% that the city council wanted to do, they have to do 4. So 4 would be deed restricted for like 25 years. Instead of all 16 meeting the 80 to 120% AMI for the first sale. So it's like kind of comparing apples and oranges there. It's a little bit different. The other one was Stewart Ranches. And they were kind of the same situation as Hart, where it came along before we really had that code in place that was tying down to the moderate income housing, really putting that in place. And it just said that they had to submit an agreement with the city for affordable housing or moderate income housing or something. So they made an agreement. It's a long story. They went to the property rights ombudsman, which basically said, Francis is trying to take our property rights. They're requiring this of us and it's not legal. We showed that what we were requiring was legal. And then they said, okay, well, maybe we can compromise. And so, anyway, what they came up with was like, I think 33%, so 8 out of 24. And that was in the development agreement. So the city council was able to amend the development agreement and they approved that. But the part that you guys were all looking at was changing it in code permanently. So from now on, what are we gonna expect? And we did have 100%. City council, after many, many meetings, decided to go to 20. And then you looked at it and said, no, we don't like the 20. So that's what they're gonna be talking about, is that. Do we wanna change the code to 20% or not? So that's what they're gonna be talking about in February.
The 8th, right?
Yeah, it'll be February the 8th at 6 o'clock.
So in today's meeting, we did the residential cottage having multifamily in a residential cottage lot.
Well, we said that if you had something that was already zoned residential cottage, that you could apply for a zone change to
Okay,
multifamily, but that still has to go through the zone change process. So that's totally legislative, and the council can
okay.
say yes or no. It's not a given, like, oh, this will automatically happen, no. It lets them apply for a zone change. And then the council can decide whether or not to approve it. And the planning commission can give a recommendation on it.
Okay, yeah.
But it is a total
What I was
legislative.
what I was thinking of was, Hidden Meadows has a lot of cottage lots. And they could change, if they're not gonna do townhomes, not that it would be an advantage to them, but they could take cottage lots and put multifamily homes on.
So it's a little different in Hidden Meadows. Hidden Meadows is actually zoned AG2, and that's our lowest density that we have. And they've chosen to develop in the AG2 zone as a conservation subdivision. So then they're entitled to do, they reserve so much space as open space, which they've done, way more than they'd be required to, then they can do the cluster subdivision. So the overall density is way more than AG1, but it's zoned AG1, but they do have smaller lot sizes, but it is not zoned cottage, it's zoned AG2.
Okay,
I don't think Bob was here that week. Was he when we,
Or yeah, you were here.
for what?
When they wanted to go from 150 lots to 145,
Oh, yeah.
by taking out the townhouses, you were.
Yep.
It was Justin that sat down.
Yeah, you were at that jury, you were,
Oh, yeah. That's right.
anyway, so that's it for me, unless anyone else has questions.
Nope, no other questions?
Okay,
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
I second.
thank you everybody for your hard work on that. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Is this our new planner?
Yeah, so I'll hand those out.
Just worried about me?